Sustainability and global warming are buzzwords heard frequently these days, and they've been around for decades. Yet, our transition to a sustainable way of living is very slow, and climate scientists fear that we don't have much time to act if we're to survive on this planet. Today, many people argue that we must first make an inner shift before we can address our outer challenges, since what we create in our outer world is just a reflection of our inner nature. But how do we do that? How do we shift into a mindset that is in harmony and balance with nature and each other, acting like stewards and caretakers for this earth, our home? To empower this shift is the vision and life work of renowned American ecology professor, Tai Chi master and environmental pioneer, John P. Milton. In Creston, Colorado, at over 8,000 feet elevation, John shares his experience in pristine wilderness, held sacred since ancient times.
I became interested in the field of ecology because it was the science of relationship, the relationship of humans to nature and different species with each other, and how species came together to live in communities, and how plants and animals live together and live in larger living systems, which we now call ecosystems. You know, it's not easy necessarily birthing movements, and I've done it 4 times in my life. I've helped to birth major movement. The first was the environmental movement. The second was the movement to save the remaining wilderness in Alaska. The third was the tropical preservation of the tropical rainforests. And the fourth is this process. In the beginning, I noticed that people treated nature as a resource, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but imagine if I had all my friendships and my family and my loved ones and I treated them as resources. We've become a culture of takers in modern society. If you become a culture of takers, then you're not giving back to the family of life. You're not a member of it that's productive and sustaining the totality of all living systems. We're way out of balance as a result. And the end result is things like global climate change, carbon dioxide issues, loss of biodiversity around the planet, all the kinds of crises that we see today. Index fingers, thumbs, and then gather from the northeast, bring up central channel, and ground with your left hand.
Can you tell me more about the history of this form, the Tai Chi for liberation, heaven and earth form?
Chung Sung Fung was said to be the founder of virtually all the forms, although some controversy about one of the forms called the Chen style. But this is said to be the original form that was kept secret for a very long time at Wudang. And then more recently it was recovered, and a few of us have been trying to bring it back and bring it back into the West so that the original spiritual source form of Tai Chi can be brought alive again.
I met John 7 years ago at Kashi Ashram in Sebastian, Florida. A student asked the question, why do I feel so good when I'm in nature? Why do I feel so balanced when I'm in nature? And John responded in a way that stuck with me to this day. He said, that is because nature is in perfect harmony and in perfect balance within herself, in her natural state. And you begin to feel that when you spend time in nature, and you begin to take that on. So that's the invitation that she's offering. And she's inviting you to bring that into yourself.
Basically, the way of nature provides an opportunity to reestablish that balance with the rest of life through dropping for a little while you're being part of a culture, being part of a city, a town, and just letting go of all those accoutrements of culture, and for a short while, in our case a few days or a week or perhaps possibly a month if you want to go very deep, you take a deep immersion into being in nature, wild nature, natural nature, and open yourself up to receiving the wisdom and the insights that come from the simplicity of being in the womb of the rest of life. You're given tools to remove and release the contractions and the distractions that prevent you from having a natural connectivity to the rest of life.
It's day 3 now, and by talking to John and his teachings, I do realize how big my disconnection, how big it is. He talks about domestication, and there's like a lot of layers of distraction and contraction. And I do realize now how big it is, how long it has been that I've lost touch with nature.
Things that became apparent early on is that this disconnection from nature that we have doesn't have to be like that. We can go back to the same practices that our traditional ancestors had to come back into harmony and balance with the rest of life, using some of their approaches. For example, most of the great religions on the planet, the traditional peoples had the tradition of the vision quest, where you go back into nature for a period of solitude. You go deep into your connection with nature, and through that solitude, human culture falls away and you begin to have the experience of the rest of life being your family.
We hold a lot of blocks as human beings, and partly it's just because we're social creatures. So the power of solitude in nature can't be underestimated. You know, so much of the expectations, the negative emotions, they're all tied up with human stuff. So those layers come off really quickly when we're in solitude and we're supported by the harmonious balance that is surrounding us in wild nature. So we become more balanced, and those contractions, the stress, really can be released.
There's an invitation from nature to explore connectedness and to explore the connectedness that you have within yourself and the connectedness you have to nature. And ultimately, the walls of separation that seem to naturally get constructed in society start to break down.
So this is looks like a bear track. This one right here.
That's right.
It's got, at first I thought it was maybe a mountain lion, but it's a little bit bigger, and it seems to have 5 toes. So we take people out into nature and provide them with some basic practices for building relationship with nature through some meditation and ceremony. And through deepening a relationship with nature, they can connect with outer nature, inner nature, and their true nature. True nature is that part of yourself that connects to everything, the part of you that connects to what is larger than you, and is that part of you that is non-distracted, not trapped by grasping desires or aversions to things, just a relaxed, present self that realizes it's connected with all things. Yeah, I think we have a thunderstorm, maybe some lightning later. Definitely some rain. Maybe we have an hour to get a hike in.
What's happening in nature is that the body connects to earth, and if the body and the breathing connects, then it activates contacts quality. The nervous system's different parts need to be more connected. That means that the relation nervous system, the limbic, and especially also the body, the autonomic, comes more together. And that is absolutely easy in nature. The shift happens by itself because the thinking brain and all the things, concerns, and boom, they stop in a day or two. It's much more what's going on actually here now. And that you could call the heart or the heart feeling. And it's very difficult to be in nature without or being there for some time without getting this direct heart feeling to all the other beings. It comes by itself. It is nature. You are nature, inside and outside.
So this is my last day of the Sacred Passage. Yeah, I'm feeling really quite peaceful and empty. It's been a really sort of smooth time for me. Haven't really needed to face too much of the hard stuff, which has been nice. Yes, like in Way of Nature, we talk about 3 different kinds of nature: inner nature, outer nature, and true nature. True nature is your essence or source. You know, what you're fundamentally made of. Yeah, true nature is something that, I mean, it's very difficult to put into words because it almost is indescribable. It's something which, as you go through the process of shedding the layers, that you come to experience and become aware of. That's source. And that's the same thing that binds, that's where the interconnectedness, the commonality between you and the rest of nature really lies. So it's not just your true nature, it's everything's true nature.
What I've learned over many years of doing this is that somehow in this deeper place where I keep saying your natural intelligence merges with some natural consciousness that's much deeper. Science, since Carl Jung has posed that there is such a collective consciousness, and scientists, cognitive scientists, are beginning to explore this and take it more seriously. It's still early days. I'm not sure as a scientist what I would say about that, but having experienced it, I'm totally sure that we're all connected. And as you relax and let go of all these concerns when you're out in nature and you're just being with nature and opening to nature, you find you just let go and you automatically connect. We are connected also to the planet, to the stars, etc. It's a miraculous feeling and totally unexplainable. Okay.
One of the things that is really remarkable about the Way of Nature is that we've really refined, with the support of nature, outer nature, the means to return to that very clear, open, spacious nature of awareness that is at the foundation of ourself, as a kind of basic common ground. And I have a lot of faith that what we've been pioneering here is an intercultural, interfaith approach to accessing Source will eventually become a a very powerful support for this rebirth of a much more integrated and ecologically harmonious way of life, and also a way of life that honors the journey back into a more liberated and enlightened way of being.